Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Monday, September 29th, 2025. Okay, I don't have an echo hero. Someone else talking. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Disclosure Tonight. Yeah, look at this, end of the month, last day in September. Let's get ready for October, my friends, and it isn't time to buckle up because we know that never happens. On that note, let's go ahead and welcome in our audience. Who the heck do we have out there? Let's go ahead and take a look. We've got AJ's here along with Amiga Rules. I see Anne Marie and Anton Ghost. We've got April R. Coleman's in the chat along with Brendan England's and Brains. Would you look at that? We've got Craig Smith, Eliza Teal, Evan B. Firefly, and Frazzle Says. How about that? We got Geraldine Durazio, Gray Hair Discoveries, Dragon Rider of FPV, and just popped in. Good to see you, my friend. We've got Gray Hair Discoveries, Hell Diver 86, Gray Hair Discoveries, Howling Huskies here, but no, Mocha's upstairs. We got Jason 1978, J-Cat, Julian, Kelly Broughton, those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. Oh, we got Mark Tam Unprepared, Megan Betts, and Mr. X is in the chat. Remember, folks, join the chat before the show starts. I'll send a shout out to you. We got Niles Guy, Mr. Catfish 2100, Mr. X. Patrick the Mysterious is here. He must be back from overseas. Paul DeMont is here along with Push King. We got Reality Check VIP, Rodney Cox. Ross Coldheart, good to see you, my friend. Coldheart, that is. Rough Reddy, Sam, Shelly Montgomery, Shinobi1 Kenobi's here. Along with the Super Unknown, we got Tenbris and Anima, the Chromosome Cowboy, Twiggy's here. Two Midgets on a Horse. Vern Dude, Words from Appalachia, Yankee 58, Yergi, and Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy. Yes, I'm running a little slow today, folks. My back is out, and I've got sciatica from my lower back down all the way through my left leg. So we'll get through this one as quickly as we can. Mike, unfortunately, is dealing with a sick family member at this point who's projectile vomiting, so he'll be around as soon as he has a fun time cleaning it up. And no, Lou Jimenez, he will not be cleaning it up with a vacuum cleaner. Just saying. Because you know they're going to say that shit about us again. On that note, what a day. Wow. Would you believe it? We've got another whistleblower who's come forward. Mike Disclosure gave me a call earlier today and says, hey, Thomas, have you heard about the guy? Of course I didn't. Coming to us on, or was he coming to us from? That's right, LinkedIn. The cesspool of places that they call social media board, but it's really all about jobs, my friend. So before we get into that, let's go ahead and bring up the details. Wait, before that, let me go ahead and bring, where am I going? Let's bring in our dear friend, Gene Sticko. How's it going, Gene?
All right, doing good. Glad to be here.
Oh, yeah. Got to get into a whistleblower. How was your trip out to Las Vegas, meeting with George Knapp and others?
Yeah, it's fantastic. They had their the Windmill Library had their first Alien Fest featuring George Knapp as a local, was a key speaker. The brilliant filmmaker named Jeremy Norrie that showed a new documentary called Who They Are that looked at NHI and whether they are NHI or actually human cousins. But about 1,400 people, I think they said, were there throughout the whole thing. So it was fascinating. Vegas was an offense to the senses otherwise in all areas. But it was a very good trip. Got to say hello to George, shook some other hands, met some other people. So all good stuff.
Oh, nice. It's nice to see the community welcoming you in, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's get into this then. All right. So let me bring up the initial post. So there's someone by the name of Jim Shell who works for the Space Force, and apparently back in 2023, he actually put out a message on LinkedIn supporting David Grush. So it's someone who's been out there on the fringes, but it sounds like, as he's saying, it's time to speak up. On that note, let me go ahead and bring in the document that lets you know the place over at his page over at LinkedIn. We'll start going on this, and then we've got a 3-page PDF we'll be getting into. So what does Jim do? Jim is a space domain awareness an SDA, an SS, and where are we at? I lost it. Anyway, SS and orbital debris expert. Please follow, but I generally only connect with people I know. Disclaimer: analytical products not derived from data, enabled by U.S. government contracts and clients. So he's been there for a period of time. Interesting gentleman, to say the least. So now we kind of know who Jim is and what he's been doing. And he put off, of course, this interesting document today talking about time to speak up for operational surprise. Now, the interesting thing about this, Gene, is we're going to get into it. Jim, almost his words calling this almost like a national security risk and things that are going on. This really echoes Lou Elizondo and a lot of things that he's said in the past about similar concerns he's had.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting. And again, you look at Jim's background, U.S. Air Force Academy, high level, high security clearance position. And, my read of the overall document was really about this, and you put it in context, this interesting transition point where they were really just still standing up the Space Force. And according to Jim, it looks like some of those new commanders in their new command were pushing the limits on the rules and creating them on the fly or ad hoc, as it might be.
Right. So, there were probably a lot of people who came into the Space Force out of the Air Force, for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it's like any large organization. Sometimes, and I've seen a couple of instances of these new organizations being stood up, even, sub-organizations. And sometimes once people start building their little kingdoms and fiefdoms, weird stuff happens.
Exactly. So let's get in to see what kind of words of wisdom that Jim Shell is going to try and bring our way. I'll keep his initial stuff here. Let me just take down the logo here and bring up Jim towards the top of the document. Then I can have the rest of it here so everyone has a context of specifically where it's coming from. So this was authored from, where does this view, edit, tools, text selection. Here we go. Time to speak up, a postured for operational surprise. This is authored on 29th of September, 2025, which I believe is today. There is a security control system, and I think this is kind of like what they're talking about in Immaculate Constellation, for that matter, within the U.S. national security space, fostering abuse and interfering with critical missions. See if I can get this a little bit larger. There we go. While there is legitimacy to the security control system, leadership lacks awareness of the extent of the risks being incurred to missions vital to the United States and resulting abuse and collateral damage. For years, I have attempted via formal channels to bring light to this issue in a manner with the lowest possible OPSEC footprint. However, it is unfortunately now time to come forward publicly. The following are my allegations. First point, a security control system is supplanting the direction and authority of the U.S. Space Force and U.S. Space Command. High confidence on that one. There is a direct and unauthorized interference in the space domain awareness mission in violation. Let me fix this here so it's a little bit easier. I know. A little bit larger and then a little bit smaller. Sorry, folks. I just want to make this so we can see everything. Here we go. Okay. Space domain awareness mission in violation of explicit official policy. So, unauthorized interference in their awareness mission in violation of explicit official policy. That would be if it's space domain awareness, Gene. This sounds like there is a cover-up going with regards to the... go ahead.
Yeah, I would imagine there's, reading between the lines, it's essentially somebody has made decisions not to do something that they are otherwise been instructed to do. Right. Nobody ever complains about going above and beyond.
No, they don't. But if they're seeing things in orbit, they're seeing things going on, it screams that there's a cover-up going on, Gene.
And he's, those high confidence ratings, that's he has this formatted as an intel document. He's writing an intel report here, and those confidence ratings mean a lot of things to OGs and commanders and the president. That's like what the president sees on the daily intel brief.
See if I can get this a bit larger. There we go. This should help a little bit more so everyone can see it. We can move Jim's picture off of there. The system has demonstrated the potential to interfere with U.S. Northcom's protection of the United States. Those attempting to highlight the critical issue were subject to accusations of being quote unquote problematic and not following protocols. Attempts to bring forward the critical issue to leadership were obstructed against high confidence. So it sounds like an active cover-up is truly going on.
So that sounds like people in Space Force are withholding information from Northcom, which are the Cheyenne Mountain people, the people responsible for the communications and dispatching the fighter jets around the United States from incoming threats.
That's like North America Command, right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to the next one. Intelligence community insights into Russian and Chinese on-orbit activities have been hampered by the security system. High confidence. What's your take on this one?
So again, same thing. If there are objects that they're not able to identify, they're not reporting them. They're holding back from reporting them to Northcom, which would then hamper Northcom's ability to respond and react to whatever it is. And that sounds to me like what he's saying is, yeah, they didn't know what it was, so they didn't tell Northcom, and it turned out it was Russian and Chinese stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're seeing things, we don't know what it is, but we're not going to talk about it because that sounds like what the bullshit's going on with Aro.
Yeah, well, keep reading.
Oh, yeah. So next, unpublished security rules are being enforced. So the unwritten rules, you love those, my friend. Guardians have been indicted and removed from duty. Guardians are like soldiers, they call them, I believe.
Yeah, it's the name of the, instead of soldiers, they're calling them Guardians for Space Force.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy. Threatened with a court-martial, yet not provide an opportunity to provide their perspective. All the while, the chain of command was never informed of the nature of the wrongdoing. This was accompanied by an investigative report with many factual inaccuracies. So what we're talking about here, Gene, get me if I'm wrong on this, is the unwritten rules that they're talking about. It's like all these, I guess the unsaid things, we're not going to write it down, but these are the rules we go by. And if you go against them, it sounds like there's retribution happening.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly where the problems come in. I mean, listen, when it comes to the military, you have orders, you have your procedures, and NCOs and officers have a good degree of latitude to make decisions, in the field and how much you have to stick to them. Mm-hmm. But what he's talking about is, maybe something that was done a few times as they were trying to get their feet wet and all this and figure out the relationship. And it's essentially become institutionalized, even though people are complaining about it.
Right. And it says guardians, like you said, meaning there is more than multiple people have had to deal with this.
Yep.
And it sounds like this is something that Jim has actually witnessed firsthand. Next one, not surprised on this one, funds have been misappropriated. Yeah. Go figure on that one. They never tell you where the money goes, and it never goes for what it should. Next, there is a connection to unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP activities, medium confidence. How do you see it between a difference between high confidence and medium confidence?
So high confidence would generally be he has firsthand information. The sources are, and even if he didn't witness it himself, the people telling him have consistently in the past been reliable no reason to doubt them or anything along that line. When you start getting into medium confidence, then that becomes people who are trusted, have access. They might not have primary access, though.
Uh-oh.
Somehow somebody on the periphery. So where it talks about fund, so if we relate it to funds being misappropriated, that could be somebody in the finance department who he kind of has a relationship with, but not really, who has raised concerns, but they don't really know if it's supposed to be spent. He doesn't really know. So it sits there in the middle.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Let's get into the bottom of this page, into the bottom of page 1 out of 3. So in 2022, Jim contacted an inspector general's office to begin formal investigations into what I have experienced and learned. An extensive unclassified paper was provided conveying a history of my experiences spanning more than 10 years. In November 2024, I had an 4-hour interview with the Inspector General investigative team at the top secret SCI level to include numerous special access program and what does CAP stand for again, Gene?
Classified access program?
Yeah, I believe so. Thank you. I assembled numerous cleared witnesses ready to share their unique experiences with the Inspector General. Additional witnesses with valuable information are fearful and not willing to talk. After more than 8 months, none of the witnesses there we go, have been contacted. I gotta do it again. Hold on. Maybe text selection. Have been contacted by the Inspector General. Indeed, in the unclassified paper, I predicted that would occur, and now the investigation and how the investigation would be shut down. At the heart of the issue is a 2018 policy revising the handling of classified space domain awareness data. This policy was co-spined by the National Reconnaissance Office and the United States Strategic Command, and later by the U.S. Space Command, upon activation as the combat command for the space area of responsibility. The crux of the issue? Neither the National Reconnaissance Office nor the combatant commands had the ultimate authority to actually invoke the changes stipulated in the 2018 policy, in spite of the advertised validity and ensuing years-long attempts to implement the most critical changes. Those well-informed are led to believe the heart of the matter lies with the National Reconnaissance Office's Survivability and Assurance Office, also known as the SAO. While there are legitimate security concerns residing within the NRO, the path leading to the Strategic Assurance Office is a distraction. Those associated with the SAO equities become an unwitting cog, providing a defense on something for which they are completely unaware. Yeah, it sounds like general military intelligence or lack thereof in this case, Gene.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, time frame's interesting. You got to remember, U.S. Space Force did not formally exist before 2019. So you're looking at this transition period where there was just probably a lot of confusion, crossover, mission creep, as we call it, and nobody ever really sorted that out and got people in the correct line of command, let's say. Right.
That makes sense. Let's get on to the next section here. The discord over the failed policy is well established. Senior U.S. Space Force officials have attempted to make changes. The former U.S. Space Force Vice Chief of Space Operations made valiant attempts to invoke the change. One such failed attempt culminated on the 27th of May, 2021, meeting where change was shut down. It's a small consolation that a 3-star general involvement was largely responsible for them not earning a 4th star. The former CSO made a second attempt to invoke the change in 2022 and another failure. You got to wonder, Gene, is this stuff getting killed within the Space Force or from above?
It quite possibly could be from the Air Force. So
Right.
if we, kind of think holistically, and we've talked about it before, how
Right.
the Navy seems to be somewhat transparent, more transparent about these things, the Air Force really holds back. Now you've got an entire new culture where the Air Force was kind of sitting there, not really subordinate to, but part of overlapping the Air Force. And you've got the Space Force guys who potentially would be more transparent or willing to have these discussions. So again, there's institutional culture, let's call it, that might be influencing a lot of that, especially start at the you're at the 3-star level, so you're up there at 20, almost 30 years probably of service. So there's a lot of legacy there to get over if you got the wrong people in the seats.
Yeah, and if you remember looking back, the original the UAP task force that was put together that gave us all the great information, that all came from the Navy. And it's the Air Force that has been the one shutting down the conversation on this, going all the way back to 1947. So, difference in priorities, clearly.
Yeah, and they seem to own that data somewhere. And maybe it was getting it out of the Air Force hands and into Space Command's hand was part of the strategy, and there's just been some hesitation.
Yeah, potentially. Let's get into this a little bit more. So the impact of the authoritative security control system goes far beyond what may be obvious. Taxpayers. Programs are not performing to their advertised capabilities with significant additional cost occurred. No surprise there. Everything seems to run over in the military and government. Next, coalition, allies, and partners. While seniors publicly lament the U.S. challenges of sharing data, few are aware that public-facing space object catalog sourced from our allies contains information for which highly cleared, top-secret plus personnel at the National Space Defense Center can be handed a security violation even when that information may be unclassified according to Cossington's security classification. So it sounds like the space catalog coming from Europe, the ESA, and maybe other partners around the world, that they say, here are all the satellites that are out there. If someone at a personnel at the National Space Defense Center even talks about this stuff, they're in violation.
Well, exactly. Then it makes it more difficult in dealing with the allies. And you've got the whole, where it says top secret plus, the NATO itself also has its own classification system, and their sort of top secret across NATO has a really cool title called Cosmic Top Secret, but it doesn't have anything to do with the cosmos. It's just that it goes across all the allies. So you could literally be sitting there with the same piece of information, one under a NATO Cosmic top sheet and the other one under a U.S. U.S. top secret. And it's the same information underneath. Now, which one are you able to share?
Yeah, it's a juggling act of juggling a dozen invisible eggs.
Mental gymnastics.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get on to this next third and final page of the document here. All right, one more. I think there we go. So let's get to it. So, guys, more disturbing still. Come on, you can do it. Select text. There we go. Guides, more disturbing still, blocking of information known to be available to our potential adversaries. Oh, wow. So we can't talk about it, but our adversaries know about it, and they're talking about it all the time. That is just stupidity, Gene.
That is, welcome to the armed forces.
Oh, my God. Yeah. No wonder why they have so many generals. Do you know, with all those generals and everyone getting pulled back to D.C., I wonder how many are going to get fired. Quantico, if they're going to. I wonder how many are going to walk away from there with a pink slip.
I think there's going to be a lot of strong suggestions to retire, or some, or they're going to get some early retirement packages. Probably the best outcome for a lot of them.
Well, they better get them before the government shuts down.
Yeah.
Next is the OSDP and Department of State. Those involved in space policy and representing the U.S. in international fora are left uninformed on the U.S. on-orbit activities and events commonly observed by the international community. These include apparent violations in the norms and behavior, along with more concerning potential recent treaty violations. So norms of behavior and treaty violations, it sounds like potentially, could our adversaries be putting weapons in space, Gene?
Well, they are doing it. I mean, Russia's made no secret about it. Their EMP weapon systems, and and I've often referred to it because they specifically say we use new physical principles for these systems. Again, it's an interesting crossover. The Office of Secretary of Defense for Policy and the State Department. The need for both of those agencies to work together when talking to particularly our allies, and even more importantly, when we're assessing our enemies. They're looking at it from the diplomatic standpoint and the interoperability standpoint between our allies. And, the State Department does not take kindly to confusion. And, that inside the embassies, there's a military liaison. That's the person whose lap it lands on when something hits up, as we say, and information isn't getting exchanged properly. So it truly becomes a international incident in diplomatic terms.
Interesting. Very interesting. It's again, one hand isn't talking to the other, and the people who should know the information to be there to do the negotiations are kept in the dark. Doesn't sound like a good situation. Next, there we go. Trump's Golden Dome. Evidence supports there will likely be interference with the sensing layer. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, if they're not, if the problem is fundamentally how they're sorting or putting into their buckets their response to identified anomalies, right? Because let's face it, we're not talking about the stuff that happens every day. So this is the out of the ordinary, and they cannot quickly determine friend, foe, or unidentified. And instead of integrating it into the existing process, it looks like they want to remove it and handle it separately, and we'll worry about what it might have been later.
Right.
And what Jim is saying here is you can't worry about what it might be later. We have to worry about it now in real time. And this whole system seems to be geared to remove that and take it away from the people who need to know and have those discussions immediately.
And plus, if they want to have a Golden Dome and it's going to need sensors for it to potentially go ahead and work, and it's not going to work, it's better to go ahead and let the president know now, stop talking about this thing. This thing ain't ready. It ain't going to work. It's got major flaws, rather than what we usually do, just keep on pouring more money at it to try and figure out to get something that's going to work.
Well, exactly. Because one way or another, a failure of it shooting something that's friendly is just as bad as shooting the enemy, if not worse.
We got someone in the chat, if you recognize it, Angelo Mazza, saying, "Hey, Gene, we met last year at the Italian Festival in Hollywood."
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, good. Always good to have friends pop up. Next, culture. The security system bears much responsibility for a dysfunctional culture in highly classified national security space arenas. Now, this is something that was brought out by the former director of national intelligence, Avril Haines. When she first came in, she said, all of our different intelligence communities and our military are overclassifying too much information. The information that should be flowing between these silos aren't. In the first place, she was going to start the declassification, and lowering the classification process was going to be the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, where David Grush was working for some time. It's interesting to see that they shut her down. As Lou Elizondo explained it, they basically committed bureaucrat suicide to a degree by basically saying that, you know what, Avril, we're here forever. We're not going anywhere. You're just a temporary employee. You're here for 4 years or so, and then you're gone. We're not going to listen to anything that you're saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the classic. That's the 9/11 story, right? Agencies all doing their own things, not communicating, not coordinating.
But isn't that the reason why they put together the ODNI in the first place?
Well, exactly, and and then, like I said earlier, once people start building their kingdoms and their fiefdoms, and the nobles come in under them, everyone tries doing the same thing, and they lose the plot. When they talk about overclassification, I dealt with this so much, particularly the post-military into the contracting career, and dealing with those fine lines between corporations and national security interests and governments and all the rest of it. What is secret? What's secret is sources and methods and detailed operational things, times, dates. When you're talking about finances, it's a number. What is classified should be, or what makes something classified is a sentence. It's not an entire, document. And people lose track of that easily because they either can't differentiate or they get caught up in the sexiness of having that black marker and being able to redact things.
Yeah. Seems to be the case these days. Too much redactions, not enough information sharing, including with the partners. Even if you go ahead and take a look at all the radar that goes along with NORAD and everywhere, it's all filtered. They don't show the people who are looking at the radar everything that's out there. They filter stuff going below a certain speed. They filter it over another speed, so they're only showing them the amount of the overall spectrum that they think they should be looking at, because potentially there may be objects in those different areas that are highly classified that, they're hiding it from our own eyes in the sky.
Yeah, and I mean, you can certainly make the point of the amount of information an individual's able to assess and have their mind around at any one time. So you've got a group of people that are all looking at things at different levels. Just like security guards watching CCTV, after 20 minutes, they're no good. They can't really see anything. The mind starts playing tricks on them. So there's that one argument about having that layers to make sure people stay focused and on a mission critical part of the job they're doing. And you hope the people next to them, everybody has those different layers. And then there's the one person, the supervisor, the commander, whatever, that has that complete picture. But it's where does that complete picture go afterwards, and who's making that decision on when there is something that's outside the range. Then does everybody have a need to know? And I would say yes, absolutely. Once something enters the complete picture, everyone has the need to know so they can monitor what they're responsible for.
Right.
But it seems like they just remove it from the equation altogether.
It's the same reason why a lot of times they're not seeing these high-speed objects around our nuclear subs. Because it's a fast-moving object, it's beyond anything the capabilities, and they don't want to show it to the people because it must be an error in the data. But if the data is showing it, there's something there.
There's something there, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. It is frankly impossible for the U.S. Space Force and U.S. Space Command seniors to be conversant on the issue in detail. There are virtually no supporting staff who have the requisite security clearances to engage in the discussion. Much of the specialized network access is required to communicate. So this is like the same issue that's going on in D.C. with Congress. Nobody in Congress has the need to know that's required to be talking about any of the UFO and UAP situations that they all want to engage in. And they think they should be able to get it there, but this stuff isn't. This is almost in an area of the executive branch that has absolutely no oversight in it, which is scary to think, but it's a reality.
Yeah. Exactly. And whether they had an initial intent to have maybe an organization like Arrow supplement some of that knowledge that might not have been already within the organization, where they expected to get it from, until people got trained up. Again, I think it's a perfect storm of follies when it comes to the age of the organization. It's more than growing pains, but borders on some incompetence, I think.
Yeah, it honestly, it sounds, what the hell did I do here? It sounds like what we're dealing with is beyond growing pains. It's endemic culture within the Department of Defense.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, according to what Jim's saying there, I mean, and that's the problem. It seems, okay, it's everybody accepts there's going to be some early missteps and whatnot. But what he seems to be saying is that this has become institutionalized, even though the new policies, everything has been rolled out. People don't want to change.
Yeah. As we wrap up on this, yes, folks, we'll be getting to the drones shortly. Space is the ultimate high ground supporting the joint flight. Space domain awareness, in turn, the foundation of enabling space superiority and the heart of all U.S. Space Command missions. Unfortunately, this heart is cancerous, so that's not good, and continues to resist treatment. It's ironic that the CSO's number one priority of avoiding operational surprise is at risk due to the internal U.S. policies for which the U.S. Space Force and U.S. Space Command are powerless to change. It is past time this critical issue is understood and addressed. For those that may wish me harm, I will remind you of what is contained in the previously referenced unclassified paper. It is in your best interest that nothing happens to me. It's probably time now to follow through on the recommendation of many that I get a lawyer, such as Ivan Handel.
There you go.
Yeah.
Poor Ivan.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I think that guy loves a challenge.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah, it's one of those, it's one of those areas now, as SpaceCom, as a major command being powerless to implement change within then it goes right back to the Pentagon. I mean, the only one above the major commander is the chief of staff. So you got to get back into the Pentagon and start asking those questions of the Air Force Chief of Staff, or the Undersecretary or the Secretary of the Air Force, for that matter, is probably the one who should be handling it at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just it's the threat, but it speaks to so much more about the organization itself, because if there are people in there, if this is the type of culture that's being cultivated there, then that is going to bleed over into all other aspects of space operations. And, that is the number one, if not the number one, war fighting domain of the future. Everything is going to start. Everything does start in space. There were so many attacks, and satellite systems and everything, even involving Ukraine, people aren't aware of. And the U.S. and Russia are regularly fighting a pseudo war in space of technology and satellites versus satellites that we don't see any of the fallout from yet, until we can't use an ATM or our cell phones. Then everybody will pay attention. Yeah,
exactly, my friend. As we transition then from talking about the new whistleblower came forward. Interesting. Can't wait to see where this is going to go. These are the kind of whistleblowers that I've been looking forward to coming forward, Gene. Someone just beyond what we've been dealing with, someone a little higher up in the command in the of things, and can't wait to see where this goes next.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, this is a substantive issue, and again, like I said, it's got a lot of bleed over into other things. The risky part of it for the disclosure community, it's not a blurry photo, and it's not a video, and it's nothing sexy to dissect every 30 seconds, ad nauseum. So will people actually, it's not entertaining, but it is highly important and highly relevant across so much of the issues. You know, outside of you, I don't, you know, there aren't many people that take this on and have that type of appreciation, that have, you know, a broad following to amplify these things and really help people understand.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Great conversation on this. Appreciate your insight coming from your military and such background. And of course, your book in Engineering Infinity, which is, did that book get accepted into the library in Vegas, I heard?
It is, yeah. So it's in there now. I'm going to try and get it around a little bit. I've been here in the Boston area. I've been dropping it in the little free libraries around the communities. So somebody in the local community, maybe they're an amateur physicist, and pick it up and do something with it. You never know.
Exactly. So let's get on next. Okay, next we're going to get on to the drones. At the request of Nick in the back, he wanted me to play a little clip coming from good old Ross Colhart. Ross has been drinking the Kool-Aid again, and God, well, take it with a grain of salt. Don't say, oh my God, if it's coming from Ross, it's got to be real. Right, Gene?
Oh, listen, all of these major figures, their number one goal is to produce content, to get it out there. Regardless of whether they believe it or not, if they believe, the only thing they have to believe is that their audience is going to respond to it. That is the number one criteria. Will my audience click and watch? And, you know, the rest is subject to luck, I think.
Yeah. Well, either YouTube's got a filter, or we'll bring it up anyway. Let's get to it. Where is this ad video? Solo guest. All right. Either someone's got a filter on, or Ross is looking a bit old. He's got some good wrinkles coming in. He's got almost like a pattern on his neck where you almost want to be able to find through the maze to get to the other side.
Call that crepey skin.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. So I didn't mean to, but yeah, it was there. Let's get into this. Let's listen to Ross on drones in Denmark. All right, here, let's get to this little 50-second clip coming to us from News Nation. Let me go ahead and put on the fair use across the top. Here we go.
Whatever they are, may not necessarily be drones. There are people that have described to me seeing orb-like objects coming into airspace and then in some way morphing into shapes of aircraft. I have people that have shown me images of what look like the shapes of a 737 or a commercial passenger jet moving at impossibly slow speeds over parts of New Jersey and New York. It's the same in Copenhagen. Martin tells me that some of the witnesses in Copenhagen estimated the size of this object as the size of an A380 aircraft, the largest commercial passenger jet. Whatever these objects are, I really think we're at the stage where we need to stop swallowing and just accepting glibly the explanations from government agencies.
Yeah, or explanations coming from Ross, for that matter. Ross always has an interesting take on these kind of things, and you know, he wants to take everything these days and make it an alien, for that matter, or an ET. Interesting thing, though, he did bring up the city of Copenhagen, Gene.
Yes.
And you know what's going to be going on there in about a week? Isn't there a big world conference coming together? What is it? I forget what it was called again. It's going to be coming on in Copenhagen the next week or so, in Denmark, where all of these issues are coming together. And you got to wonder, gee, I wonder why all these drones would be going after Copenhagen, a really small country that has been putting all their money, majority of their defense budget, into social programs. And then when something really happens, like Trump warned about him 4 years ago plus, 5 years ago at this point, to go ahead and you better start putting your money into defense, NATO, because otherwise when you need it, you're not going to have what you need. And where are we at right now, Gene? In that exact...
They don't have it. And, you know, and if you think of the geography, you know, right across the Baltic Sea there from Denmark and even Oslo, you have the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad. And so, you know, an enclave, this is a section of Russian territory that is split by actually the country of Lithuania and Belarus. So that is a strategic nuclear port for the Russian military, and it's one of the reasons I've always said, I'd never be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see Putin want to go back into the Baltics, because he doesn't want to say "Mother May I" every time he needs to do something with his nukes and cross the Lithuanian territory. So you have a place there where
I've got a
Russia could realistically and reasonably launch these kinds of drones from. You've got, the U.S. conducting and NATO conducting large-scale exercises right around the same time these started getting seen. And then you've got the I don't know if it's the Economic Forum next week in Copenhagen. Yep. Places like Copenhagen, Belgium, Belgium is Europe's conference room. You always find these events going on there. I think there's multiple factors at play, to give Ross a little bit of leeway, that when these things happen, right, then everybody starts seeing something. There is that effect. Go back to any kind of witness statement. Anyone who's a cop, if Mike was on it, he'd tell you 5 people can be standing in a circle watching an event happen, and 5 of them will give you 5 different stories. And add that to, add in darkness, add in the New Jersey stuff. And you have
add in cell phone fatigue, where a lot of people are used to walking around outside day and night looking down at their phones whenever they're going anywhere. People are rarely looking up, so now there's things going in the sky. Suddenly people are looking up all around them and say, oh my God, look at all this stuff in the sky. But a lot of this stuff may have already been there, but they just never paid attention to it. Now there are a bunch of things that are coming in. They've had sightings in Romania and Poland and Denmark and Estonia. They've had them in Norway. They've also had sightings in northern Germany, and they've had it in France. So it's been going all over the place throughout Europe, and it's just interesting that it's happening in that particular area, but it's a defense corridor. Now, I believe United States has been sending across a high number of, what is this one at here? We're sending across a large number of refueling tankers, which are necessary for war operations, flying from the United States, and they're heading off to the Denmark area, and a bunch of them are also heading to Mildenhall.
Yes.
In the United Kingdom.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got you've got Mildenhall, you've got, of course, Germany is probably the next closest base, mainland Europe. And then, of course, just the NATO allies themselves can always take a couple here and there.
I think Hungary's got several bases there as well, don't they?
They might. I don't recall at this point. Italy certainly. Southern Aviano Air Base, and then Sigonella in Sicily, and Belgium. So there's plenty of places for them to go.
Oh, yeah, a lot of things going on at this point. Let's see. I've got an audio clip here. No, I don't want to do that one. Even going on, there are some, if you want to call it, oil platforms that are off of Norway that also went, and there were 2 of them that reported some drone activity by them as well. So I know they usually have their eyes disguised at those platforms, especially what's going on, but it's definitely going beyond the shores of Denmark at this point.
Yeah, I'd be, the platforms, and I tried looking into it at one point, because I always imagined when it came to, submersibles and all that, these oil workers on these platforms, they're so high up and have such an incredible panoramic view. There's got to be some stories out there somewhere, and they would be ideally placed. I mean, the North Sea is just filled with them.
Oh gosh, yes, my friend. Even over going back to Denmark again, it seems like they're bringing out some of the big guns, but they may need something else to take care of it. Let me get this here. Okay, let's get to it. 2 Danish F-35s were scrambled near Bornholm last night, but found nothing. Suspicion grows. The identified objects are coming from the Baltic Sea. NATO has stepped up patrols there, so there's support coming from United Kingdom, coming from France, coming from Germany, all setting up different types of air systems to go ahead and help figure out what's going on in Denmark. But of course, we have that World Economic Forum coming up next week, and they're going to want to have the world leaders to have a little bit of safety, unless the goal of this whole operation is to stop that event from happening, Gene.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine they did it, but again, I think they want to make it as uncomfortable as possible. It would certainly be fascinating to see, drone incursions over the city, as the forum's going on, and how they respond to that. But again, I think it all generally continues to point, coming from the Baltic, that's Kaliningrad. Estonia, they're all right there on the border with Russia, and you've got Belarus, who's an ally, who would do whatever Putin wanted to. So there's a much stronger geopolitical harassment case to be built than anything to do with UAPs, and as you said, cell phone fatigue and what people see. If you're looking at it through your phone, that's another layer of distraction, and I know my phone blurs all in and out on a good day. I got videos of George Knapp blurring in and out and morphing in and out because the focus changed.
Exactly.
Do that at night in the sky to a couple of lights, and you get.
I've got some videos that I saw, and I thought I freaking bookmarked them. I will find them shortly, though. In the meantime, Nick, you have your hand up, my friend?
Yes. Yes. Do you think they'll try to shoot these things down, Thomas, if they're over the meeting? If they're at the meeting, do you think they're going to try to shoot these things down?
I would hope they would go ahead and try and shoot these things down. It's in the best interest to go ahead and shoot these things down.
What if they don't work and try to shoot these things down? Then will they tell the public, you think? If they don't work, they try to shoot these things down. Like, do you think they try to tell the public, or do you think they'll try to hide it if it doesn't work?
Oh boy, that's a double-edged sword. They could tell you they tried and could have shoot it down, but that would show weakness in the air. What do you think, Jane? Would you think they'd go ahead and tell us they tried to shoot it down and it failed?
Well, if they do it during the forum, it's going to be quite public. It's going to be really hard to say that they can't, depending on where they are. Obviously, before they try shooting anything down, they try to force it to land. People aren't aware. Number one, these fighter pilots, on a normal plane will pull up next to it, and they will push the plane down wing to wing. They will put their wings over the other one and push and force a landing.
Seems like they need some tactical stealth helicopters or something to come in here to bring it in. Maybe something going as fast and not hoverability and changing directions like an F-35 is a bit too much. But if you have some Apaches or some other kind of good attack helicopter, you can get in there, even potentially launch nets at it, like you're trying to, capture a emu on the Serengeti.
Yeah, or they need some kind of layered patrol strategy of, using drones, fighter intercepts, lower level helicopters, and designating some zones that they're going to be surveilling in order to try and at least contain the area that they have to respond to. Because right now it just kind of seems like they're sitting there with their keys in the pocket until they get a phone call.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That video is one over Denmark, the same one over New Jersey. That same one over New Jersey. That same one, which is weird.
This one here, this one does look similar to ones we saw over New Jersey, because it has this kind of LJ shape, whatever it is, on the front of it that we did see. Now, what we did see in the ones in New Jersey, in addition to having this light at the front, there were additional lights besides the red and the green in the middle part of the plane, off to the sides and to the back. So while this is similar by the front of the craft of what we saw in the some of the later events going on in the East Coast, it's still a bit different. It's not a one-for-one match, but it's close.
It's probably using some sort of mimicry to mimic our airplanes and helicopters and stuff like that to just blend in. I just believe it, Tom. I use a mimicry to just blend in.
Well, if you want to believe, that's fine. I need better evidence before I'm going to go ahead and say this is a UFO because it doesn't align with any other UFO sightings that go back historically, going back to 1947. This aligns more with our technology we have on the planet now. And if there was a force here and they were trying to do stuff, there are plenty of orb and triangle and all these different sightings of different kind of crafts where bringing something in like a drone just doesn't fit the model. While it's very sensational for Ross to bring out statements claiming these are UFOs, there's absolutely no proof to back it up that what we're seeing are UFOs, and hopefully the governments over in Denmark and from the EU can come together, maybe some help from the US, because we do have the USS Gerald Ford in one of the fjords of Sweden right now, and that is a dual nuclear reactor aircraft carrier. And if there ever was something to draw on the non-human intelligence, the USS Gerald Ford would be it, wouldn't it, Gene?
Yeah, and I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, none of these have not been seen at all during the day, correct?
No.
Right.
There
So
was
it's
one
only
drone
like-
that was seen during a press conference earlier today, but I think it was just a normal drone when the leadership in Denmark were going ahead and having their press conference. It wasn't like one of these objects.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think the idea that even with the New Jersey drones and these, it's at night, it is some sort of harassment
Yeah.
game, going on,
Yep.
rather than NHI trying to reveal themselves or more.
Now remember, Russia
perfectly
has
clear
said
skies.
these are not ours. Categorically, these are not ours. But this is coming from the same Russia that had the troop buildup in Belarus and on the eastern border of Ukraine saying, no, we're not going to invade. We're not going to go to war. We're just doing a military readiness exercise. And what did they do? They lied and went right in. Every single time Putin has said he's going to do something, it's been a lie. So if the Russians say, oh, no, it's not us, well, why would it be us? Because if it smells like a Russian, looks like a Russian, and flies like a Russian, it could be Russia.
Yeah, and they have those the exact white, black, triangle designed drones that are part of their fleet, highly advanced, and they're operating in the Arctic too. Again, against international treaties, they have set up military operations and exploration activities in the Arctic, which isn't,
And they've also illegally gone and done a bunch of exploration for oil and Antarctica, and they want to get down there soon and start drilling for it, which is just crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, Putin definitely needs the barrel of oil to go well over 100. He needs it about $125 a barrel.
Yeah.
To be successful. That's what Venezuela needed. That was the downfall of Venezuela. He had a big mouth at 125 a barrel, and went down to 60. He was done.
But unfortunately, going on right now, one of the richest people, the richest man, I believe, in India, just spent like billions of dollars, whatever it is, to buy Russian oil. So the problem is there are consumers that are still buying it, which are still funding Russia and funding their wars. So if we can't agree as a world economy to say this is wrong and freeze them out, it's still going to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, again, these types of things just cause senses of insecurity and headaches for world leaders who should otherwise be preparing for other things. Now they're focused on drones.
Yeah. If we could, Sergeant Daniel, USMC, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah. How you doing? So I'm going to go against that and say, the most valuable piece of equipment that the Russians own, they're just going to put it out over Copenhagen Airport and hope it gets hit by a plane. I just don't see it. You're talking about light years ahead of anything we have because we can't target it. We can't see it on radar. And I think it's a big if it's not non-human, it's someone really, some companies taking over the world.
Yeah, but we also have to look at it and say what, considering our active radar systems right now and potentially how big or how small these things might be. I'm going to say small. What is the minimum size and minimum height off the ground that's required for these craft to actually be picked up?
Well, I don't know. I mean, again, you're talking value. And if, those things are going to be worth, think about how much they would be worth to the Russians and how much they'd be worth to us if we could knock one down. I think they're trying everything they can to try and knock one down, find out what it is. And, maybe it is a company, that's taking everything over. But I would have to disagree. I can't see the Russians gaining anything from playing around like this. The Chinese,
it's instilling fear. It's instilling unstable. It's instilling the ability and the fear that the EU has no capabilities and no ideas how to bring this stuff down. It is bringing it's a terror campaign that's going on that suits up to Russia very well. And this is just another example of a couple of different ones that were there. We can kind of see in some configurations when they've got a light up front, it's a J and reverse J standpoint, and some of them it's an N, and those are the ones that have, or like an N and reverse N, have the red in the front. But it's two different type of craft. But yeah, it's time will tell on these things. I think they just need to get out there with the right kind of craft and shoot these things down.
I definitely think they could probably at least shoot it with a 50 caliber from the ground.
Yeah,
but I guarantee you, if they, a lot of these countries want to go to war. They want us in the war just so they don't have to worry about Russia anymore. They're crazy. Some of these people, some of those, Baltic states, they'd be dying for one of us, something to happen, so they get involved, so we get involved.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If I can see how long this one is going to go for. Okay, we've got Denmark Justice Minister, I believe. When was this? 6 hours ago, the Denmark's Justice Minister on the invasion of unidentified flying objects. Unfortunately, we have to get used to this new reality, he says. Also, compare this to the 9/11 terrorist attacks in the United States. Really? 9/11? Oh, God.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch. I think we always have to take that step back and admit, we don't know what we don't know, and it's certainly, for all the reasons you said, the fact that you can't identify it, you can't seem to take it down, puts into question amongst all of the allies and the nation and the people themselves of your ability to defend against anything. When you have an aggressive Russia and other actors and the Chinese and all the rest of it. So it's a geopolitical nightmare, not quite a 9/11.
Exactly. It's not like they had the Twin Towers of Lutefisk come down.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this one. I'll put this one full screen because we're going to kind of need it for this to get there. See if I can make this a little bit larger. One more, maybe. All right, here we go. This is coming to us. Again, this is coming from Ronny Verne. Denmark's Justice Minister on the invasion of unidentified flying objects. Let's see what he has to say. This will be in Danish, but it will be, if you want to call it, you'll have the captions on the bottom. Here we go.
Der har vi ikke set væsentlige forstyrrelser af lufthavnene, men vi
All right, I'll read it. On Thursday, we have not seen any significant disruptions to the airports, but unfortunately, we have to get used to the fact that we are in a new reality. We will be in a situation similar to this one. Again, that is the nature of hybrid warfare today. We are talking about drones. Tomorrow it may be something different, and unfortunately, we as a society must adapt to that. And there is, I think, for the oh, Jesus, they're talking too fast. And I think there is, for the understanding of all of us, an important parallel in the terrorist threat after September 11th, 2001. There we learned to live with the fact that the threat was there and the authorities were continuously equipped to deal with the threat. It also became a condition for all the Europeans that it was part of our common enterprise. Just as a terrorist threat became part of our reality, so are hybrid attacks now, unfortunately, part of our reality. So I think in this particular part, Gene, let me get you back on camera here.
Yep.
We're in a situation where they're admitting that there's a new type of warfare coming up, and they're not prepared for it at all. And it's a new reality for them.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess fortunately enough, it's only seems to be a little bit of psychological warfare at this point. But taking the friendship host and throwing your arms up, after a couple of weeks doesn't seem to quite be the end, and get used to it isn't really an answer either. So, I don't know if he's trying to invoke that post 9/11 new world reality to calm people.
But why did he go ahead and tie this back to the November and December of 2024 when we had the drone incursion on the eastern shore of the United States that went on for a month and a half?
I think those are those subtle messages to the Marco Rubio and to Donald Trump, trying to align it and maybe get some assistance that way, and maybe even throw it in their face a bit to say, well, you didn't do anything about yours, we're not going to do anything about ours either. You couldn't handle it, so we just have to we'll be the first ones to say we don't know what it is, we don't know what to do about it, we're just going to have to live with it. So it might be a little slap in the face or fire under the arse. Yeah,
but it's just a reality. If there's a new kind of warfare coming, you have to invest in your defense. You have to take and rally what support you have, but also the support of NATO to go ahead and take care of this, because, well, it's affecting them, not us, but they'll probably end up pulling us into this.
But you have to know who that enemy is first. That's part of the problem for them.
To think that they can track down the drones in Ukraine and know where they're coming from all the way back in Russia, right? But they have no capability for doing this in Denmark? Really?
It's a strange world, strange.
Yeah, they didn't even want to be bothered with the defense budget or being prepared, because they figured either NATO would protect them or the United States. They got lazy.
Yeah. Well,
That's
Mike, it turns down to a majority of Europe they call it democratic, but it's a highly socialist government over there. They take all their money and they've been pushing it into social programs and funding a lot of illegal immigration coming into their countries, and that's got to be paid for somewhere. So now they're all paying the price. Go figure.
Oh, well, if this escalates, they're really going to be paying a price, and not in cash.
Yeah.
So we'll see. They better get their act together.
Oh, I would hope so. Welcome back, Mike. Hopefully the exorcism went well.
Oh, God. Yep. Yeah, for now. But it's my break is temporary.
Yeah.
This is going to be an ongoing thing.
Keep a 5-gallon bucket with a little bit of water in the bottom.
Yeah.
So that way, if the puke goes in there, it's easy to swish it around and pour it out.
Oh, I know.
Either that or put a garbage bag in there, but you're changing the garbage bags all the time.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I know.
Oh, more fun than a barrel of monkeys, right, Mocha?
Yeah, something like that.
We've been going through all of our stuff. Yeah, you had a great conversation about that whistleblower, Mike. It sounds really interesting.
Jim Shell.
Yeah.
He's a doctor of space imaging.
Yeah.
And a former lieutenant colonel.
Yeah.
For the U.S. Air Force, and his credentials are stellar.
Oh yeah, he looks like he's the right person to come forward.
Yeah, and maybe we could connect him with Ivan, and he can get proper representation for being.
That would be good, my friend. Back to the drone situation again that we've been just talking about. I want to catch up with you on this one. Now we have someone coming from Denmark's Defense Department just called up hundreds of military reservists, I think they'll need thousands, to respond to the crisis of drones flying over the country. Let's go ahead and I will try and read this fast enough to go along with the subtitles. Wish me well. Here we go. I can see it's very unusual that hundreds of reservists are being called up in a hurry, and that underlines the urgency. It's also up to this. Oh shit! It's also up to the summit that is to be held here in Copenhagen. That's probably why this is going on, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it the WEF, World Economic Forum, or something going on? Something like
Yeah, there's
that.
a financial meeting going on next week, I believe.
Yeah. At the end of the week, where there is simply a need for us to get a handle on the situation and only to be able to ensure the meeting is held. All sails are set, and I want to see it. As far as I know, it's not something you would normally do, and we haven't really been in execution situations that dictate it. As far as I can remember, because we've never experienced this kind of a thing, what can you say? Physical threats combined with a summit, so and so. That part of the port, extraordinarily situation, and therefore also an extraordinary remedy you use. I can see it's very unusual that, okay, so there we go, Mike. Yes, they're calling up a bunch of reservists. It seems like they should have called them up last week when this thing first started rather than just sitting on their laurels.
They should have had them on standby.
Yeah.
And just like you and I talked about privately before the show, if they're limited with their offensive capabilities, they don't have fifth generation advanced fighters, then they could at the very least, very cheaply and easily, supply their ground forces with Stinger missiles. That would take out drones very easily.
Oh, yeah. That or high caliber weapons or rifles or whatever that else they need to go ahead and try and bring these craft down.
Exactly. So
hell, if they can bring down someone at 200 yards in the United States, they should be able to bring a drone down.
It really isn't that difficult.
No.
And they have for them to be prepared. I don't know why they're dragging their ass, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how this develops in Europe. It's ongoing.
Yeah. And we get to watch from the sidelines this time, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's see if there's anything.
We'll comment on it like we did the last time.
All right. Government playbook. First is drones, then balloons. Then you imagined it. Oh, isn't that the way it usually goes, Mike?
It does. You're correct.
All right, let's get back. Anything else here? 28th. The German frigate, the FSG Hamburg, docked in Copenhagen this morning to help defend Denmark from the wave of UFO incursions. Now, let's call them drone incursions. Last night, unidentified drones were again spotted in several locations across the country, according to the Danish Ministry of Defense. I think those are about all the updates that I've got on this, Mike. It's an evolving situation. We're going to try and keep, again, the most relevant news and stories together because, that's what we do here at Disclosure Tonight.
It is. You're absolutely right. And great job, by the way, Gene. I've been listening. Great conversation with you and Thomas covering the facts and the previous stories.
Thank you very much. And
thank you, my friend.
Myself on being able to talk about anything for a few minutes.
And you do a great job. And it was an interesting conversation. And Thomas and I really appreciate the help.
Oh yeah,
anytime, my pleasure.
Oh yeah.
So unrelated, I was reading a story before the show went live. And do you remember the guy out by Area 51 that the FBI raided him, took his computer equipment, kept him and his wife out in their underwear at 4 a.m?
Yeah.
Yeah, he still has his channel up. And what he was covering recently there was a drone crash near Area 51. And he went out to the crash site. He said it took 4 days for them to recover the crashed drone. He saw all of the truck marks and equipment that they used to remove the crashed drone. And he was listening in on their radio frequency when they were there. And he heard that this object flew out of Cree Air Force Base, and the crashed drone had ordnance on board. So they told the recovery team to be careful. So it's unrelated to what's going on in Europe, obviously, but it's interesting that we, even in our own country, still have this kind of activity going on, and mainstream media is not covering it or picking this up.
Of course they're not, Mike. Just like they're not covering the Aurora Borealis has been going on lately. There's been a great show last night here in the United States, started really late at night, and there's been a light show going on in Northern Europe all evening. So although we're probably not going to be getting one in the United States, it's Aurora season. And a lot of people are still surprised that we're getting so many great things popping up.
Well, you always said, go outside and look up.
Oh, absolutely. Just some stunning views from Jeremy Rand. There's another one we've got. Another one that was just spectacular again last night. I enjoy showing these things off because this is something that I have a passion for as well. And when you can go ahead and watch these things live and see what's going on over where people are seeing it all over the U.S. and Canada, it's it's an oh wow moment.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah. Get past Ross. Oh, wait a minute. I lost my bookmarks. Anything else? We got those. That one. Oh, yeah. Fuck around and find out, Mike. So,
you're not kidding.
The FBI, Portland has been setting off, folks. It's been going crazy. Yes, they've brought in 200 members of the National Guard have arrived in Portland. And just, I believe earlier tonight, the FBI raided a home near the Portland ICE facility as part of an investigation involving an individual shining a high-powered laser at a military helicopter performing lawful duties. Turns out the suspect was an illegal alien and is now in ICE custody. Stupid idiot. That's one way to grab attention to you. Additionally, there are 3 occupants were apprehended during the search. They are also illegal aliens and now being processed for removal. Sounds like they got the what was in the box versus what's behind door number 3, Mike.
Oh yeah, going to be a free airplane ride back to their own country.
Oh yeah. Then we have this Antifa clown who is going ahead and chasing down a female actually a male reporter here, completely unarmed, or going after him and everything, and getting into it. Back at the building in the distance, you see what that is, Mike? Right there. That's a laser sight coming down, hitting the guy.
I have the right to be here. Okay, did I say
I
have the right to be here?
No, that's not there.
You have DHS watching you right there, lasered on you. You have a sniper lasered on you right now.
Right there, you can see the laser hitting the guy.
Stop sticking your camera.
And people are coming in to say, stop it, you're going to get taken out.
You're going to get shot.
So they're stopping people from going ahead and actually being there and observing, and they're trying to terrorize them and frighten them out. There was if I could find it, there was a black man who was in there who was beaten down by 5 white guys in Antifa outfits. If that's not racism at its core, I don't know what is.
Oh, exactly. I'm surprised the Black Lives Matter movement isn't out on the streets over there.
Oh, yeah. There have been some
racist.
Great feeds coming up. Let's see if I can find any more of those I have here. Apparently I didn't take those. Maybe I need to go further back past the Aurora Borealis. No, it's not there. Let me see if I can dig one up, Mike. Yeah, there was a bunch of live streams going on last night, and it was a hoot and a half watching some of these things.
Oh, I know. You and I follow this all the time, and those are great videos that they keep putting out. Good stuff.
Let's check on.
And again, mainstream media is not covering what's going on in Portland right now. It's like a war zone.
Oh, completely. We got another one here. Let's bring this one clip up. This is just like, it's entertainment gold, my friends. Let's get to it. Here's another one we've got coming in Portland, Oregon. Antifa whacked my security guard again, and they quickly found out.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of that going on lately.
Yeah.
Because they've been operating on the streets there with impunity, and they didn't think there'd be any pushback.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I watched this one live. If you look at that, he had someone who had
the police are there.
Yeah, someone here had a little billy club to protect him, and there's a woman who's going to come up here, and she tries to rip it out of the guy's hand. He's just trying to protect himself, and then they all go after him for trying to keep his weapon out of a woman's hand who tried to steal it from him. And it's not even a weapon, Mike. It's just something there. It's a self-protection device.
Yeah, because they've been getting really violent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta have fun with it. We got a couple people in the back with their hands up. If we can, Manuel, then Michael. I actually, no, not really. I was wrong on that one. We got Sergeant Daniel. You're the one with your hands up. Go ahead, Michael. No. I think he left his hand up from before. Another clip going on, Antifa unmasked. Yeah, it's just, and I'm sure there's things going on here tonight. If I could find some of the people I was following last night. Again, protester advances on federal officers using shooting gestures like, I'm going to go ahead and shoot you, bam, 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 you're dead. This is the kind of stuff Portland are saying, everything's safe in Portland. Everything's okay.
Oh, the hell it is.
But it's clearly not. And then we got breaking and arrest happening outside the Portland ICE facility in Portland. Federal police dragging Antifa militant into custody by his hands and feet. This is someone who actually assaulted a ICE officer or a National Guard officer early in the evening, and they waited for the time. They found him, and they hauled his ass away. Yeah.
Yeah, when he goes into that facility, he's going to get tuned up really good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is a new, they're calling him MAGA Man. I believe it's a former military guy who came in. Yeah. He saw a couple of the streamers getting assaulted, and he drove in, bringing out his Make America Great Again hat and the American flag, and believe it or not, nobody fucked with him, Mike.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Oh, because he's about 6'7", about 300 pounds, and he's all muscle. Well, a bunch of muscle for that matter.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
If they were going to try to attack him. Besides, didn't Trump classify them as a domestic terrorist organization?
Yes, he did. So a lot of these people, yes, they're going to get a free vacation, Mike.
Club Fed.
Fed. Oh, yeah.
They're all a specific type too. Like they all are like middle-aged. Like they're.
Well, a lot of the ones who are Antifa are, looks like they're like 20-somethings for the most part, maybe late 20s at most. Really skinny white dudes, all wearing black head to bottom, hiding who they are. Now, this is Portland, so Portland, you are getting a bunch of older liberals coming out and supporting it. But it's at the end of the day that when all the general, if you want to call it, the general public goes away, when the nasty people from Antifa come out in force. Can't show that. That's a scary one. Yeah, interesting things going on. There's probably stuff going on right now, Mike, but we haven't been able to go ahead and find it just yet.
No, but every night there is a lot of activity going on over there.
Yeah, it is.
It's not going to stop. Ongoing.
They need to go to jail and not get out.
Well, that's the problem in Portland, is they bring them in and they release them and drop all charges.
I mean, it's crazy. I don't know if there's a rule or a law or something that citizens can do to make these DAs do their jobs or get the fuck out of the way.
Well, it's the DAs who are elected for local laws. That's the problem.
Yeah. It's elected local government to you.
Right. But if they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Doesn't matter. We had that issue going on, and where was that? We had that issue going on in Chicago for the longest time. You have it going on in New York. You have a lot of DAs who are in power that absolutely refuse to go ahead and prosecute people because they think it's wrong. Yes, it is a Soros DA's BW Broom.
They don't care what they're doing to Americans, though. It's like crazy. Like the violence that a lot of Americans are dealing with, and they're just letting them out. Like it's not, like
Yeah.
it was okay for them to be assaulted.
The
begin
only
with.
hopes that are going to be possible are going to be federal charges, because local charges, they won't do anything.
It won't stick.
I can't tell if
Hey.
that's a woman or a man. I think it's a dude.
I can't tell either. It's a revolving door policy. That's the problem. But if the Marines show up and they get into an altercation, it is going to be federal charges. That's not local.
Well, anything that happens on federal property or against federal officers potentially will be federal charges.
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
And it'll be held in federal court. So there's nothing Portland can do to let them back out again.
Oh, yeah. Gene, your hands up?
Yeah, I was just going to add, and Mike, you can probably even add more to this. For everybody to realize that, the years that these organizations have gone back, and what the last administration sort of hinged on was this idea that Antifa is not a centralized organization, but it is several small organizations that are seemingly community-based groups. And they do things like they have skill sharing sessions. So they will, and during the height of the immigrant crisis, they were even going out to these communities, and they were taking, they would bring clothes and food and host movie nights, and then they would have skill training sessions, which were things like paramilitary training, essentially, forming these militias. And then you had things like the John Brown Gun Club, which was a LGBTQ plus focused gun center, and so this has been at least 5-6 years of small organizations that were spreading around these major cities. They were going into the immigrant communities, providing the legal relief, providing training, ingratiating them with food and clothing. I mean, this has been such a well-coordinated effort on that part of the people who believe in that Antifa motif, as opposed to, one centralized organization. It is this vast network of small, extreme activists.
Yeah.
Which is exactly the definition of organizations in the Middle East like the Taliban. They operate the same way, but they are classified as terrorist organizations, so they are considered to be enemy combatants. Now, it seems Antifa is operating in the same way, and Trump has now classified them as domestic terrorists. So it's going to be more difficult for them moving forward, I would assume at this point.
Well, I'd imagine if they get any insights into the money, which it seems like they're trying to do, then you're going to see a bunch of RICO charges spreading around the millionaire community, millionaire donor base, let's say.
Oh, very quickly, but you know how they're gonna play dumb.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, "Oh, we weren't aware of this activity."
I do have to bring this out, Mike. There's been a recent movement in the LGBTQIA plus WXYZ movement. The LGs, the lesbians and gays, have created a new faction movement to get away from all the nonsense of what it's turned into. They've lost their mission, they've lost their place, and flat out, we're tired of it.
Yep, it's kind of like where we are, Thomas.
Oh yeah,
like we're the oddballs all of a sudden.
Yep.
And I'm proud to be part of that other group.
Oh, same here. Same here, my friend. Trying to see if
It's
there's
about
any.
time. I'm glad they're doing that.
Oh yeah.
They need to separate from the nonsense.
Well, yeah, and once they went after the kids, I mean, I don't know if they thought gays and lesbians just don't care about kids or women, but we do.
All right, this is live in Maine right now, guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was turning on earlier tonight. Let's go a little bit back. You can see as soon as there's something I had up here, the BZ. This is a thing, and basically when the BZ goes south, right?
Yeah.
That's when the Aurora kicks up. And when it goes down flat like this, you'll see the Aurora and everything. But when it goes to pitch up a bit, And still south, you'll see something called a substorm. When right now, if you want to call it, the skies are recharging. And then after the skies get done recharging, you're going to see it go from something like that to something like this. This is what you would call a substorm, where everything just kicks up all at once.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mother Nature truly is beautiful.
Something said to check Maine, and this is one of the places I like to go out and look for Aurora. Even how it's reflecting off of the water and everything, it's just a beautiful sight. And again, if you want to find this one, folks, just Google or go to YouTube, search Maine Aurora, and you'll find it. A lot
Looks
of great
like special effects in a Hollywood movie, but it's Mother Nature.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got cams in South Dakota I can check up, and I wonder if they're going. URORGUY. No, this is not it. Let me look for. No. It's not showing right now. I've got a bunch of live cams that I can check into. But yeah, again, it's always fun to go ahead and see what's going on and check the skies. And as we wind up this episode of Disclosure tonight, Mike, yeah, it's a beautiful opportunity. If you live anywhere in the northern United States, within a couple states of the United States of Canada, if you're in northern Idaho, Two Midgets on a Horse, anybody who's out there, go out there. You're in Wisconsin, Laura, you might be able to go out and look up and see something, because a lot of these things, it's not directly overhead, it's actually down south for the people who are far up north. If you're in Canada, go up and look out. If you're anywhere out there, it's worth it to go ahead and check out to see what's happening in the skies around us.
Yeah, truly amazing.
Yeah, on that note, I think we about covered everything tonight, Mike.
Everything you and I talked about before the show, it seems like.
Yeah. Went pretty well. Had a good time.
Yeah,
I appreciate Gene for coming out. Appreciate you making it in, Mike.
Yeah. No, I've been listening while I've been cleaning up all the puke.
Oh, yeah.
Jane did a great job, and we're grateful for that. Good conversation.
Yeah, Gene did a great job. So did I, apparently.
Yes, you did.
All right, Mike, and let me jump back into the studio to wind this thing up. Oh, where are we going? Desk chat. What a great opportunity to hang out with friends, Mike. It was great to have you here. Great to have Gene and everybody. Wonderful to have our audience. I want to thank everybody for your super chats today. It's the end of the month. I want to thank no more super chats for the month of September. For the next time we're going to go, it's going to be for the month of October. Remember, friends, we are a fan-funded program. Every dollar that comes in goes back into our production fund. We are humbled and thankful for everyone's love and support. Who am I talking about? Laura Campbell, thank you for that support, and also Alice W. And I believe there was someone else before the show started. Oh, where can I find this at? Top chat. Fan funding, one person before the show, Brennan England. Throw Australian $5 at us. Thank you very much, Brennan, as well. Mike, thank you for coming out. We appreciate you being here. Gene, appreciate it as well.
My pleasure. Great job. Good show today.
Yeah. And as we usually say, friends, at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
And we'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye. Take care.